Hey, Bob Coppedge, CEO Simplex-IT Crotchio Geek. Time for my wrap-up rant review, whatever you want to call it, about February. And a couple of things going on. One is, and I really didn't talk about this because it started in January, but Simplex IT, led by COO Patty, actually has started a weekly book club with the leadership team. There's about 7 of us in this. And every week we get together, we choose a specific book, and we spend a few weeks going over it, reviewing it. And we started in January with How to Be a Great Boss. And Patty was leading that. I don't know, everybody seemed to look at me with almost disdain, or it was probably just indigestion. Anyway, but to just review that because had some great concepts. And we finished that up in middle of February, and then we kicked off our next book, which was Radical Candor. Both of those books really align well with the EOS, which is Entrepreneurial Operating System Framework, which Simplex IT has been doing very, very strongly for years now. And so it's a great way to not only advance everybody on this, but also to make sure that we're all kind of looking at it from the same perspective, which does not mean we're in lockstep, because we want to have enough diversity in terms of our approaches and all that. But at the same time, we also want to make sure we're all on the same page. So that's been cool, been very successful. I'll be honest, I wasn't 1,000% convinced that would be great. But anyway, but that it turns out I was wrong, and glad of it. And even with February being a short month, we found some time to we're bringing in some new businesses, both project business and managed services. And it's interesting that we're now at the point where about 50% of our business is co-managed. And we're also finding that we have a lot of competition, and the competition is really strange as far as how they define co-managed. And not to slam our competition at all, but it's interesting. And anyway, enough of that. But that's cool. But one of the things I really enjoyed, I was invited to take part in Stark State College, their Tech X experience, which was hosted by Stark State College, in case you didn't figure that out. And about 120 or so high school students from Akron came to hear from myself and a couple other IT professionals about the possibility of careers in IT. And had a couple of roles there. One was I was part of a 3-person panel on IT careers in front of everybody, and also co-hosted a couple of sessions specifically focused on careers in data analysis. What was really cool is I kind of had this mindset that this was going to be a board audience, or ones that you had to kind of really hone in on to try to get them to do some feedback. And nothing could have been further from the truth, especially in the data analysis sections. We had to really talk about, because they didn't know yet what data analysis meant, but by just talking about metaphors and stories and how the fact, if you're shopping online, you're a data analyst, boys and girls, really brought out their ideas and their interest in it. And they realized this isn't as far of a stretch or reach for them in terms of understanding what it was. So that was really cool, and gave everybody in the data analysis group copies of my book, CEO Survival Guide. So they're all doomed. Excuse me. But anyway, it was cool. It's one of those, and thanks to Professor Shonda Lynn Yeager was a co-host who kept me on the straight and narrow. So those were really cool, and I need to do more of those things, because I really did enjoy that. That was cool. Another thing is marketing director Cassie and her team. We kicked off our first product-focused campaign. It was working with our security partner Sophos, and this trial version of the marketing campaign, we're reaching out to about 250 or so small medium business execs about the benefit of working with Simplex IT and Sophos to implement MDR, maintain, detect, and respond 24/7 cybersecurity coverage. But here's the thing: what we're really trying to focus on is communicating to them how the flexibility of our partnership with Sophos means that these potential clients can consume this however they want to, as just a reseller. They purchase the product as a silo co-managed, as a commit, as a we manage everything. We can do whatever. And Sophos and Simplex IT, with our joint experiences on these things, really bring some unique flexibility to this. And I'm curious to see how well this will work. So, anyway, cool on that. Kudos to Cassie for putting this together. And then Joe and I are going to be following up as far as calling and follow ups on that. So, yay. Then, as many of you know, Friday, March the 14th is important to Simplex IT because, okay, like I said, many of you know why. But it's even more important this year because there's a lunar eclipse that would be visible throughout most of North America, except for Western Alaska. I don't know what you guys did to tick some people off, but apparently you did. And a good chunk of South America, the eastern part. But for Ohio, excuse me, this really starts early Friday morning, and by that I mean 1 a.m. early Friday morning. Totality of the lunar eclipse starts around 2:30 a.m. and lasts for about an hour. If you've never seen it, the moon basically goes from, it starts with a full moon, and then you see it basically turn a reddish shade, and you see being eaten up. It never fully disappears like a solar eclipse. Um, but anyway, it's for those of you who know me, you know I'm a solar eclipse freak. I've traveled for 4 of them now, but I want to be clear: I am not a lunar eclipse snob. Lunar eclipses, they are. They're not as rare or as exciting as solar eclipses, but they're easy to see. They don't require any special eyewear. It can be seen over much greater areas, and they're a lot more frequent. So they still look pretty darn cool. So make sure you check that out in March. We've already had a couple of things going on in March. There was a big AI, big data meetup over at Baldwin Wallace, and a couple other things going on, but I'm going to save that for next month. In the meantime, catch y'all later. Oh, and I'm heading over to Chicago to take part in Gasha. GTIA is Klingon. For a 3-day conference, and I'll have more on that next month as well. Bye.